It's a great, beautiful Saturday morning. Welcome back. I'm Eric Russman. This is the Duke post game report, and I'm here with my assistant point guard, Ritz Martinovich. We also got Justin Lociali on the wire, but he'll be tuning in here and then with some commentary. We're here to recap the UNC game. I think it was wild. I'm
Woo! My God.
exhausted. Been up all night. It was nuts. I got like a full cardio workout, stress test. I think I need to start having the AED, defibrillator in the house. Uh, that was nuts. We're gonna go over some highlights, some deep dive plays, try to get this thing done so I can start my St. Patrick's Day celebrations. But let's go.
There we go. Excellent. So, what do we got for you all this morning? This game didn't end that long ago, but in any case, here we go. This is going to be Duke, and this is going to be UNC, the third round. Both teams actually holding up their end of the bargain to meet in the ACC semis for the third time this season. Carolina trying to beat Duke 3 times for the first time since the 70s. Can you believe it? We weren't even alive back then. But this one, unlike the others, has Zion Williamson, who tries to go up here, and Javin is going to get the cleanup, and then Javin's going to repay the favor to Zion underneath, down low, get him going off a nice game. Great from Syracuse, now carrying over, and then Reddish going left, finishing right with a little English at the top. Beautifully done. Kobe White zipping in this pass. Cam Johnson is going to turn this one over, and then Trey Jones up ahead. Nicely done. Duke are going to be down here by 13 points in the first half, and you're saying, oh my God, not again. Why? But Zion says, I have other plans. Zion gets the 3. Duke down by 10, and the comeback is starting. And then RJ says, Zion, brother, I see you. See your 3. I'm going to give you 3 more. Duke only down by 4 at this point. And then the unlikely heroes show up. Antonio Vragovic to Jordan Goldwire for 2 points. Where has this been? Incredible stuff. But wait, it's not over because we got Trey to Antonio. This play looks like it's in slow motion, but it still counts for 2 points. And then Goldwire playing point guard, Trey playing shooter again, another 3, and then they're still not done because here we go. Antonio's going to play Batman, Zion's going to play Superman, and it's going to be a dunk. Nicely done. Duke only down by 1, and then Duke down by 3, and Zion says Duke down by 0. UNC and Duke are going to go into the halftime locker room tied. Now coming out in the second, UNC thinks it has a run up, but Zion, the cheetah speed, almost takes the ref down with him on this one, and then Jordan Goldwire being disruptive. Trey Jones almost on the floor, leaves Luke May on the floor, and then manages to make a bit of a mess of this play, to be honest. But everybody, let's take a deep breath. Trey Jones says, I'm going to fix this. Clean up in the paint. Goes in with the lay-in. Duke ahead here in the second half, and we're feeling pretty good about ourselves. And then Reddish doesn't actually get a charge. This is an and 1. Let's go, baby. Woo! But UNC ties it up, and then Luke May says, I'm going to score. But Zion says, no, you're not, because I'm here this time. And now RJ Barrett to Zion. Zion's spinning around, and then he's going to get that lay-in. Duke ahead by 2, and if some Zion is good, more Zion is better with the reverse dunk. Unbelievable stuff. Duke by 3. Cam Reddish, some Cam on Cam crime right here. Cam leaves Cam Johnson planted with the step back J. Bang! Nicely done. And then Kobe White. Nope, this is it. Zion Williamson! Woo! With a dunk alert here. Duke by 5, but now Carolina back. And then Zion splits the 2 Carolina defenders. This game is tied with 7 minutes to go. People, this is crazy. Then RJ tries to put us up 4, and they blow the foul. Where's the foul? And then Kobe White here on the other side, but Javin's going to step in there, and we got one. They gave us the charge, actually, on this. And then Zion, Duke down by 4, but Zion's going to try to put this here. Plus the foul, Duke only down by 1. Now RJ trying to put us up by 1. No! Ooh, Jordan Goldwire saves us from disaster. Right place, right time. Luke May trying to put Duke in the coffin here. Nope, not going to happen. And now, okay, timeout. Everybody breathe. Everybody breathe. Duke down by 1. Coach, drop a play for it. It's going to be Zion, right? Zion strong to the left. Zion gets his own rebound. Duke, 74-73. And now Carolina, here we go. 3 timeouts, but Roy isn't going to use them. Why? Because he's going to take him into retirement with him. Here, Cam Johnson is going to put up the 3, and it's not going to go. Nice rebound by RJ, and he's going to get fouled, so he's got 2 free throws. But he's going to miss the first one. Are you kidding? I can't watch. RJ, just make the second. He misses it. What is this? What? 10 seconds to go, and UNC is going to have the ball. Still no timeouts by UNC. Kobe White driving on on Trey Jones here, and it looks like here we go. Yes, quite stoppage there, but Kobe White is going to put this up, and it's not going to go. Put back, no good. Finally! Yes! We got it! Woo! Look at this with the fingertips! Finally! What is it, like 6 days ago, we went ahead and did this, and with the loss, and now we have it with the win. Every time we touch, playing for all the Cameron Crazies. Justin, Eric, we finally did it. There's a lot to talk about here. I don't even know where we want to start. Eric, all yours.
I'll just start with the ironically courtesy of the UNC memes page quote. Psalm 137, and it said, "By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yea, we wept when we remembered Zion." But he was definitely a huge factor. He had an incredible second game back coming off the injury. He just affects so many things in the game. Defensively, rebounding. Luke May just had a hell of a time. It caused Brooks to foul out for UNC, which is a big factor. And it just actually opens up so many other things for our other players. It's just a huge impact. And I can't understate it enough. And then we just also had huge moments from guys coming off the bench to step up. And I don't know, we just had an incredible will to win this thing. Because there was times where UNC was seemingly trying to give it to us, but we were also trying to give it then.
To give it right back, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. We just kept battling and didn't give up. And wow, that was an insane game.
You may as well I think at the end of this thing, you could have just given out the national title. Why do we have to actually play the tournament? Both of these teams are just Carolina is playing at such a high level. 7-game win streak, something like that now, and the way that they run this thing up and down the court all day long, it's just unreal.
Yeah, it is incredible. Even on made buckets, when we score and they have to take the ball out of the net and out of bounds, it was pretty close to them getting down the court the same time that we were, barely having time to set up a defense. It's one of the most fast-paced offenses, I think in the country. But they're also, it's not just wild. They're just trying to chuck up shots and see what goes in. It's also coordinated attacks and stuff, and they finish. Kobe White is, he's an insane player. I actually kept hoping that there would be a reason why I really didn't like him, and the only thing is, other than he plays for UNC, is the only reason I don't like him. Other than that, it's he doesn't have a punchable face or anything like that. Just kind of
God.
He just kind of keeps playing, and that's honestly, I was extremely terrified. Those last 2 threes that they had, I thought their cam was gonna nail that one.
They both look good. They both look good when they go up.
Kobe's I was like, fuck, he's gonna become famous for this right now. It was teed up for that, but wow.
Zion's knee, no issues, Justin. It looks fine.
Nope. They did a good job making sure that he was prepared. And he said it after the Syracuse game that he's I probably could have came back last Saturday for the. But there's a big difference between him feeling good and him being in game for 35 back-to-back nights. That's a lot conditioning that needs to happen. And when you're not playing or practicing for almost a week, you lose that pretty quick, even for an elite athlete. So they did a really good job getting him prepped, ready, and obviously we're seeing the benefits of very medical professionals and very good strength and conditioning coaches, and a program that values player health.
Yeah, and I think the rust showed on the free throw line in the first game, but he actually, unlike everyone else on the team, actually managed to hit free throws today.
Yeah, I think what was it at the end of the game? 4 or 5 free throws
Yeah.
that
at the line.
that we missed, or well, yeah. So RJ with 2. I think Cam missed the front end of a 1-on-1, which I still argue the stat should be 0 for 2, not 0 for 1 when you miss that. But let's see. So we actually held up pretty good on the glass in the first half. I think that actually kept us in it a little bit with the rebound margin 20-19. But then UNC just killed us in the second half with the second chance points.
Yeah, that's definitely one of their. I mean, that's like one of their strong things that they're really good at is crashing the offensive boards. I think they're one of the leaders in the ACC of that, and they convert that or at least benefit from like the chaos that's created by even when we have like we have 3 of our defenders in rebounding position, and then you get one of those tip out or like long rebounds. There were so many times they just ended up with like a random guy snagging it on the
Yeah.
3-point line, and then they drain it. I mean, they take advantage of like any opportunities that they get. So yeah, I mean, cutting that down in the first half is what kind of kept us in it. So yeah,
All right.
that's
So
definitely like they got us out on the first couple of games too. That was huge. So
the unsung heroes of the game, or like of the season, but they come up huge in the game. Goldwire and Frankovich here. We got some clips. Eric, walk us through this.
yeah, I mean, Vrankovic just comes in because Javin's in foul trouble, and I mean he's just finishing buckets. I mean, like just the
The
insane
lob.
chemistry to Zion. I mean the thing is like these guys practice together. Like don't forget, like they still practice. There's 2 teams, two squads that practice constantly.
That's
If
true.
you
That's
think
true.
about it, Frankovich probably in practice is the guy that guards Zion almost all the time. Like he's experienced playing against one of the best players in the country. And the chemistry on this pass and the feed, I mean, it's just some good timing and like knowing exactly where to deliver these passes to each other. And I think that kind of comes from to some extent them like they're probably on the
Yeah, yeah.
same, B
This
squad
last
lineup.
one,
So
like, who's the point? Like, who's our point guard here? Look at this. This is a Trey
yeah,
Jones pass to Trey Jones.
yeah. I mean, yeah,
Beautiful
it's
stuff.
great feed, and even seeing on that, like Frankovich actually had his guy sealed to allow him to do that drive, and even better for if Trey Jones had missed that 3 and it went long, like Frankovich gets the rebound. He was doing really good at getting himself in like solid position. I mean, Frankovich is a big dude. He's definitely a body that can put on people. He's just, sometimes has been more of a compromise. I think more on the offensive end.
Hmm.
But I mean, he showed up and stepped up, and I mean, I think it's just a huge spark. Exactly when we needed him. Yeah, and I mean, Goldwire playing 28 minutes. I mean,
28
going
minutes.
like yeah, cramping up and stuff. I mean, giving it everything he had. I mean, that just has to that just inspires like the rest of the team too. Yeah, that was just great that those guys showed up like that. I mean, and Goldwire is very solid defensively.
Actually, so Cam Johnson on UNC got off to one of the most incredible starts like we've seen in a while here. Like he was the only one scoring, and at one time he was just beating Duke. Like he
Yeah,
had more points than the entire Duke team. And then Jordan Goldwire comes in, and like Cam Johnson disappears from the offense
yep,
for Carolina. Like it was pretty incredible, and he's giving up like 6 inches to the guy.
yeah. It's it's kind of one of those weird things. Like sometimes it's like harder, like, especially from like my experience. It's like sometimes it can be harder to be guarded by like a guy who's shorter than you, because you have to actually be a little bit more aware of like how you're dribbling and stuff because they can actually reach it, like
Mm,
steal it from you faster and easier versus like if you're guarding like a guy like another Cam that's like or being guarded by another guy who's like the same height as you, like you guys can kind of reach when you're dribbling and bending, you're kind of at the same level, so like you can kind of keep the ball below your defender's reach and you don't have to think about it as much, versus like Goldwire is quicker and can just like really get up in there, so it's like another like afterthought that kind of can like throw you off. And then yeah, we were actually able to, I think Goldwire was good at like denying him the ball. So like
yep.
they didn't try to take him down into the post where obviously he would have been able to dominate Goldwire. They just couldn't even get him in that position. So I think that was a great job of us preventing that situation from happening.
And then you talked about Joel Goldwire plays 28 minutes and he's dealing with cramps here. So Justin, like, how do you, as the trainers, how do you get a player once you start cramping? It's pretty hard to stop. So like, what are the trainers doing here for the Goldwire? Because we saw them like trying to massage these out at the end of the game.
Yeah, there's really not too much you can do besides some pretty vigorous stretching of whatever muscle is cramping and pumping them with Gatorade and fluids. And you can even use you see it in professional soccer, the magic and or ice. You can spray that on it, and that just helps relax the muscles just a little bit. I think Goldwire had to play almost 2 or 3 possessions in a row where you saw him visibly cramping and running around on the funny thing was UNC didn't take advantage. They saw him limping around on the court and they didn't go for it, which surprised me. I was like, oh no, we're done for it. We only have one timeout. He can't guard Cam Johnson, with one leg, stuck in the air. But then you saw the training staff just vigorously massaging it out, stretching it out. That's really all. But the thing is, unless once the cramp goes, they can come back really, really quick. So luckily, this did not go to overtime. They were left in the game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
because that would have been a whole nother for Goldwire.
Yeah, because the play that you're referring to is late in the game. I think there was less than a minute left. Cam Johnson has the ball on the right side, and like Jordan Goldwire is like trying to guard him, but clearly he like can't move, and Cam Johnson just like passes it up, and he doesn't do anything with it. Like at that point, you would have just figured. I thought too we were dead. I was like, oh god, Cam Johnson's gonna just dribble past him, and if the help doesn't get there in time, this is 2 points. Basically. But luckily for us, that didn't happen. So let's switch over here to a deep dive because we have 2 plays, one is a bit more, is just interesting because of the motion offense that Eric, you were talking about the other day, and the second one is the one that wins it for Duke. So we'll start with the first one on the motion offense. There's a lot actually going on this play. At this point, you texted us, and now we finally have a fully functioning motion offense.
yeah.
It
seemed to, before you started, it seemed to, the motion offense team at times kind of stalled in the first half, and I think, to some extent we got it running pretty well over the last couple of games, but like having kind of like Zion back in it, it's kind of like, just he does like he contributes like different portions to it, and since it's very much a thing where you're like kind of like organically reacting to like when a guy sets the screen and rolls and kind of doing that, you kind of like have to get back and like, okay, Zion's kind of doing this kind of thing, and we kind of like cut this way or cut through here, these openings, just like a little adjustment usually, and it takes like a week or so of practicing to like you're back in top shape. So I think we finally got it in the second half, and so yeah, you're gonna just see a lot of cuts to open spaces, kind of like guys like running near each other, setting screens, and it just kind of makes the UNC defense have to constantly try to adjust to where the guy they're guarding is going and his relationship to the ball and the basket. And it almost appears to like kind of see like it almost feels like it's like a little chaotic. But it's actually, each guy is making a cut that he thinks he's going to an open spot where he can get a pass, or cutting like through the lane or something in a way where, if he's potentially open, like if he catches a defender out of position, he can, maybe get a little dump and pass. So like even subtle things, just like Zion walking down and like Goldwire coming up, like that makes the defenders have to communicate and switch, and like just keeping them constantly having to work, it takes a lot of like energy out of the defense, and it's just adding to that mental confusion.
So here's an interesting one. So here RJ is calling for like a double stack.
Yeah.
Up at the top of the key here. What is this? And then Zion comes up. RJ's like, Zion, get over here. And then they actually go up here and try to. So is this a set play of this part, or?
I mean, it looks like, like they're literally like communicating. It might be something that they've, walked through in practice, like, hey, like this is sometimes like there's like, hey, we can do this to kind of start like a motion offense, like kind of do like there's like one move, like, like when Jab comes up and sets a screen, like that's one thing, like when you're first bringing the ball up, it's like, okay, let's have like a set, like Jab sets a screen on RJ to start, and then it kind of just figures out, then react and run the motion offense. What happens to that? So I think that's what this is. I think RJ's just calling for a screen from Zion, knowing that he might have something when he cuts through to get. I mean, it's a Zion screen. It's like running to a brick wall,
Right.
especially with Kenny Williams. And then then Zion's at the top of the key and also will remain open. It also forces the UNC defenders to choose how they handle this Zion screen. Like, do they both follow RJ? If he gets around it, do they stick and shade with Zion? Because if they double on RJ, if he's clear, then Zion's wide open at the free throw lane. And you can also see that Kobe White's actually in good defensive position because he's kind of immediately preventing that quick pass to Zion. But you can kind of see him looking over his shoulder to see what's happening. So yeah.
Yep, and then essentially, so RJ is going to break this way, and Zion's going to break up. So they're going to try to break in opposite directions. But Zion's actually going to set, I think, he's going to set a double screen here because he's going to come up and try to screen Kobe White. But this one didn't really work.
Yeah, that was a good slip by Kobe White, and I remember seeing that one, and I was like, I like cringed a little bit because it's almost like, I mean, Kobe White actually got around it enough. And Zion had just gotten set. That was like, I initially thought it might be like one of those dumb kind of moving screen deals. But actually, so RJ comes around that screen and he has Kenny Williams on him because of Kenny Williams having to go slightly around Zion. RJ actually stops, probably from maybe just cutting through and going somewhere else, and maybe goal wire slides up or something, because now he actually has somewhat of a seal on him.
I was gonna say this pass is maybe possible.
Yeah, if Luke May isn't, and I think that's why it's not thrown, is because Luke May is, right there.
Basically just looking at it. Yeah.
If he threw that, I guarantee you Luke May is there in a second. Maybe you can kick it out to goal wire, but that's why RJ kind of stops. He's like, oh, I have a head, height advantage on Kenny Williams. I have inside seal. So that's why he posts up right here.
And he's going to go, and then Zion's going to roll out. But then everybody goes back into, so we have this rotation. Goldwire goes up. And then Cam comes across, and then Zion finds himself basically alone.
Yeah, so I think Goldwire, his read on that is he recognized oh, my guy Luke May, that's covering me, is preventing RJ from being open. So that's why he cuts baseline to pull Luke May away from there, and then just by the time it actually goes into effect, RJ has given up on it. So that was one of those timing things. I think if maybe Goldwire was thinking he could get the pass to RJ and kick out, but maybe if he had cut a little bit earlier, it clears Luke May out and you have a different read there. But that's just one of those things. It's sometimes it's a split second of timing here, but and in this case, it's just give design, he'll finish it off with the big body seal and spin.
Okay, and then this is the final play, offensive play, because there's a lot of UNC that goes on after this. Duke down by 1. Coming out of the timeout, coach has drawn up the play, and so this is the starting formation here. We sort of have a line: Cam, Zion, Javin, RJ inbounding it to Trey. And is this play just Zion all the way?
That's how it kind of appears. But I think it's actually an initial read is for RJ after he inbounds the ball, is to kind of get it kind of at the top there, which is why he's asking for it. And you can see that Trey Jones is leaning for the pass. RJ has his hands. It's Jav is kind of out of the way. Cam's out of the way. Zion is on the opposite side of the lane, giving him space on that left side because remember RJ's left-handed. And it's almost geared up for a one-on-one against Kenny Williams situation. But I kind of think that RJ's supposed to get it kind of fake or something, but he decides that Zion's the better read. Based on, I guess, where he catches the ball at the moment, and he just gives him that handoff. And then at this point on it, I think it's just motion offense.
Yeah, and at this point, Zion's not going to let it go. So I mean, he's going to get his own miss in between 3 Carolina defenders. Actually, basically in between 4 of them. But just powers it. I mean, it's just too much Zion at this point, right? We didn't have him in the first 2 games. And everybody was like, "Well, you beat Duke, but they didn't have Zion." And
I know we were talking about the Chargers a lot last time, and there was a few in this game too. As multiple people were texting me, and I was like, "Yeah, but the thing Zion goes through, like in these situations, like he's making contact on the guys, but like I mean they just literally can't stop his momentum. But the thing that he doesn't do is lower his shoulder. He just keeps moving forward, standing up basically, and they just literally can't hit it. It's like trying to stop a bulldozer. It's like eventually it just gets to the rim.
Good. I mean, great stuff. Zion, 31 points. I think it was 11 and 11 rebounds. I mean, just I don't know if I doubt we win the game without him at this point.
Oh yeah, no.
So, in any case, all right, let's cycle forward. So we have the game tonight, ACC Tournament Championship. We're playing to cut the nets down in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And against Florida State, who pulled up the upset against UVA. But yeah, so Eric, your key to beating UVA is you got to score 70. Florida State had 69.
Yeah, you start coming up with a kind of a joke theory, and then it kind of ends up being more real as you go on. And then also people get like, I got a few texts yesterday. People were like, "Oh, they only got 69. How did they win, Eric?" And I'm like, "All right, good chill. Like whatever. Like one extra foul away." I mean, I feel like it's held pretty true in most. I mean, granted they don't lose a lot, but because Florida State's the only team to beat UVA.
That's not named Duke. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, UVA has 3 losses, and 2 of them are to us. It's funny because at the start of the highlights where I said they can't possibly beat us a third time, but in essence, if we had played UVA, we would have had to beat UVA a third time. Right, which is like beating a team twice in the same season when both teams are good is tough, but beating them 3 times is even more. Do you feel like do we have to win this one to solidify the case for the 1 seed?
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think we have to. I mean, I don't think we have to win it because they're also playing really well last night. I mean, they played incredible games against Virginia Tech over the last week and a half. They
2
played,
of them,
they took down a really good UVA team. I mean, I think that they're playing above their current ranking right now. So I mean, it's got to be a good game. I mean, it was a good matchup the first time. Cam saved us with the game-winning 3. That maybe you could say that's like we weren't playing as good back then, but
Zion was out of that game too.
Yeah,
second half.
No, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I think that'll have an impact on it. But I mean, I was actually like a little mad they got upset because I was actually feeling more comfortable with the UVA matchup, especially the way Zion's playing right now. And the second time we beat UVA, we did it without Zion. So I was feeling actually more maybe it's just comfort in the known versus the unknown.
Yeah.
There's a couple more X factors to have to deal with. I mean, Florida State's they're big across the board. They kind of have like an overall size advantage sometimes. But I mean, I think it's going to be an intense game. I think we can put them away if we get up by 6 or 8 and kind of just hold that. But it could also come down to the wire. So it's a little bit of an championship. I think it doesn't affect our seed as much. It helps us obviously if we win. But I mean, I think a committee looking at it is like, oh yeah, look, Duke just played like UNC. You're kind of judged to the teams that like you beat. So like if they're giving UVA and UNC high seeds, it's like, okay, well, Duke is still right on board with that. So how can you justify going than that? Especially a lot of times there is consideration for what you've done during the season. But there's some teams that sometimes their seed is based on the first half of their season, and sometimes it's more based on the team that's actually going to be playing in the first round, because a lot of teams are different teams. Like in their conference tournaments by the time they get there versus what they are in the regular season. So.
Yep, and I was looking at the box score from yesterday against UVA. I mean, Florida State did their top scorer scored 14 points.
Yep.
And you would have been like, oh, you're only going to put up 14 against UVA. Like, there's no way. Like, they got a guy with 14, they got a guy with 11, they got a guy with 10, and they got 2 guys with 10.
Yeah.
And so it was like a very balanced sort of all around Florida State team effort here. Right. And to hold UVA to 59, I mean, that the 3-point shooting didn't show up for UVA, 20% actually in this one. So, But yeah, I agree with you. I feel like UVA, like we know what we're getting. Like when you play UVA, you know they're going to play a pack line defense. The matchups are pretty straightforward. The game's probably going to be kind of slow. But like yeah, Florida State's a total wild card at this point. Um, but I still think we can, like, this is totally winnable. I was also looking at the latest bracket projections. It does have us currently as a 1 seed, having replaced UNC actually.
Mhm.
But if I was a 1 seed and UNC was the 2 in my bracket, I would be.
Yeah, that
that
sucks.
is not a place I want to be playing.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right. In any case, we're going to see how this one shapes up for the evenings. It's 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. We will be back Monday to recap that game, assuming, yes, we're going to win it. We'll announce our NCAA Tournament Challenge, and one shout out to our Duke baseball team, actually, earlier this week for winning over 14th ranked ECU. Nicely done. So that is the recap. And finally, once again, Duke over UNC 74-73 on to the conference final. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. GTHC and go Duke.
Go Duke.